This Necromancer build is disgusting, and it's disgusting in two ways. Firstly, it absolutely destroys all content in the game, despite having the most atrocious gear possible. And secondly, it's shooting out boners out of its boner's boner. Not only that though, but it also has more boners shooting out boners out of their boner's boner via their boner. So yeah, pretty nice. This huge boner fiesta is possible via 3 updates: the tempering system, changes to our skeletal mages, and also due to minions now inheriting all of our stats. Let's break them down one by one. If you've played Necromancer in previous seasons, you probably know by now that Bone Spear has been the top dog of Necromancer builds. In Season 4, however, we can double our Bone Spears via the tempering system. By tempering the Bone Augments manual and upgrading it via masterworking, we can get near to 100% chance to double the amounts of Bone Spears. When it comes to the skeletal mages, they just got a whole new mechanic. Previously, our bone mages simply did more damage. Now, however, they have a 25% chance to shoot out a boner instead. And lastly, since they inherit our stats, they also double their amounts of bone spears. By imprinting aspect of Occult Dominion, we can get up to 5 skeletal mages, each of them shooting out constant bone spears. And that, my friends, is how you get this nasty boner fiesta. But there's more to this build that make it amazing. Not only does our minions inherit our stats, but we can also boost them further via the new gear affixes. You can now roll ranks to Golem Mastery, Skeletal Mages, and Skeletal Warriors, and each of these ranks buff your minions by 25% to 15%. Multiplicative. Oh, and by the way, you can get these ranks on all of your gear pieces, except for weapons and jewelry. So yeah, that's pretty busted. And on top of all these things, you can also temper increased size to corpse tendrils. By stacking this, your corpse tendrils can cover the whole goddamn screen, pulling in everything. By dropping a Decrepify and spamming boners on the enemies, you reset your cooldowns down to 0 every goddamn time. Pretty sick, huh? Yeah. Now here's a bit of a disclaimer. There could be some double dipping happening for minions on the PTR, but this build will without a doubt be the absolute top tier of builds in Season 4, unless they nerf it to shit. So if you weren't hyped for Season 4 yet, then you absolutely should be now, because minions are going to be busted. Alright friends, I'm done yapping now. Let's check out my atrocious gear and amazing aspects and get your big brain working with my amazing choices. Firstly, we have a helmet. Yeah, no shit homie, but what helmet? This one. Now, funnily enough, you can actually roll double corpse tendril size on your gear. So the corpse tendrils that cover the entire screens could possibly just cover the entire state of Pennsylvania, or possibly even your mom. I'm not sure if this is intended, however, but it could be quite hilarious. Other than that, this is where I'm rocking Golem Mastery for the big stonks. You could also roll ranks to Skeletal Mages for more bone spear damage, but I simply just enjoy having the big guys stonking. You still want the Juggernaut aspect in Season 4, especially since you'll have to get to around 17,000 armor to reach the new cap. Ideally, you would masterwork Golem Mastery or Skeletal Mastery as well for massive DPS. I'm not that lucky, however, but who gives a shit? It's just a PTRL Mao. As chest, this is probably what you want. The Hardened Bones aspect is also mandatory now, as damage reduction is near impossible to get due to it being removed from gear. For gloves, I'm rocking these. With some decent rolls, it's extremely easy to reach 100% crit chance now as a Necromancer. 22% here, for example, is absolutely bonkers. As aspect, we're of course rocking the bone splintering aspect to deal big dam. To cover up your boner, you definitely want a pair of pants. These are pretty decent, and this is where I choose to imprint the Occult Dominion aspect. Something that's interesting about the new season is that all aspects are completely busted now that we want to combine minions with our regular skills, which is extremely fun. So roll a Necro in Season 4, or fuck off. And also when you're at it, drop a sub. For the boots, we're rocking these along with the Bloodgetters aspect for both healing and to increase our damage. When it comes to the weapons, we can now roll attack speed here, as well as chance for Bone Spear to hit twice. Both of these stats are exceptional and should definitely be prioritized. I currently have 25% chance for Bone Spear to hit twice here, but if you hit the Masterworking 3 times, then you could get it up to around 40% per weapon. We're also using Unyielding Commander's aspect here. This should be on the amulet for maximum damage, since we can keep up Army of the Dead constantly. But since the codex currently is bugged, I'm forced to use it on the weapon. And for the offhand, I'm using Frenzied Dead aspect to boost our minions' attack speed. When it comes to the jewelry, I'm looking for some crit chance, as well as resource generation when tempering. Other than that, it's the typical stats that we're looking for. In a completely min-max setup, however, we will be able to ditch some of the crit chance as we would be capped already. On the amulet, I'm using Aspect of Reanimation for Big Dam, and on the rings, I'm rocking the Grasping Vein aspect for, more Big Dam, and also the Exposed Flesh aspect to not run out of essence. Nicely done, friends. Gear and aspects now done. Let's check out our pet cucks to see what they're up to. Wait, what the fuck? They're not even here. Oh well, let's check out their skills either way. Our skeletal warriors are the peak cucks, as they're not doing shit apart from generating corpses in this build. As skeletal mages, we're rocking the boners. As you can see, you need to have Bone Spear on your bars to make this build work, and definitely not Bone Splinters, as it will only cast one of them at once. And lastly, our Big Daddy Golem. Blood Golem is the way to go. And I'm using the damage reduction as to not fucking die El Mao. This one is, however, the way to go for big stonks, granting our golem a whopping 50% damage boost. Hell yeah, friends. Let's take a quick look at my highly intellectual skill tree now, so you know exactly what you'll be rocking in the new season. As per usual, we have the basic skills, and this is what we do with them. In the core skills, we're grabbing Unliving Energy for some maximum essence, which we will be using for our key passive later. We then max out Bone Spear and grab Enhanced and Paranormal Bone Spear. As we have 100% crit chance when Corpse Tendrils is up, this one will always proc. We also have Hewed Flesh to generate some more corpses. Then head on over to the corpse skills and pick up Spiked Armor to reach the armor cap. Also grab Grim Harvest and Fueled by Death for some easy dam and resource generation. In the curse skills, we first pick up Amplified Damage for an easy 12% multiplicative damage. After that, we have Decrepify for damage reduction, as well as a way to reset our cooldowns via Abhorrent Decrepify. The chance to proc this is extremely low, but whenever we have a billion boners flying around, it's hecking easy. Skeletal Mage Mastery is also insane, granting the mages multiplicative damage. You can easily swap out Golem Mastery for this one if you dislike the Big Daddy Golem for some reason as well. In the corpse skills, we have Corpse Tendril, pulling in all enemies, as well as Enhanced and Plague Corpse Tendril to make sure that all enemies get vulnerable as they are pulled in. We also pick up all of these for some extra damage, and then head on over to the ultimates. Here we have a whopping 14 ranks to Golem Mastery for 350 damage. Yeah, I agree, that's absolutely bonkers. As ultimate, I'm using Army of the Dead, as it will boost the damage of our minions by more than 100%. Inspiring Leader and Hellbent Commander grant us some more damage as well. And lastly, the key passive. I'm using Ossified Essence here, as I still think it's slightly stronger than Kalen's Edict, especially since we can get more maximum essence during combat. But honestly, you can go with either of them. If you decide to go with ossified essence, then you should definitely stack up some extra maximum resource. Well, damn, son. That's the skill tree done. Only the Paragons left. And then I'll also throw in some gameplay so you know how to get good and play this amazing build. In the starting board, grab the Undaunted glyph for the damage reduction. We then go to the Flesh Eater board for an absolute insane 40% multiplicative damage. Due to this, it's extremely important to spam summon minions to make sure we consume corpses. We then have the Control glyph for the 20% boosted damage whenever we use Corpse Tendril. Up here, we also have the Bone Graft board, which we use for the legendary node to get some more maximum essence. After that, go to the Cult Leader board and pick up the legendary node. Due to this, it is an absolute priority to get 100% attack speed, as this node is quite possibly the best node in the game, now that minions inherit our attack speed. And if I got 100 attack speed, I would instantly double my damage via this node. The Essence glyph is insanely strong in this build, both granting us 22% multiplicative damage as well as a strong crit damage scaling. Then head over to the Hulking Monstrosity board and pick up the legendary node to grant your Golem Big Dam and Socket Corporeal for an easy 10% multiplicative damage as well as movement speed. And lastly, we have the Scent of Death board. Here we are socketing the Golem glyph to grant our Golem even more multiplicative Big Dam. Yeah, that's right, there are multiplicative Golem damage everywhere. No wonder he stonks so goddamn hard. All right, nicely done. Let's check out the gameplay loop now, so you know how to crush all content in the game. It's quite simple. You want to stay as far away as possible from your enemies and instead sacrifice your pets, as you'll otherwise fucking die. Whenever you start gaming a dungeon, you can summon your minions via Army of the Dead. Whenever a corpse spawns, you can dump a corpse tendril on it to pull in the whole galaxy. After that, simply drop a Decrepify on them and start shooting boners at your enemies. Just don't forget to pop Army of the Dead whenever you can, as the minions will deal more than double the damage. And lastly, don't forget to keep spamming that Summon Skeleton button because it will buff your minions massively. Well, goddamn, that's all for me. Here is a summary of how to get good that you can screenshot and jerk off to until next time. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.